No. They're not teaching critical race theory in schools. That's what summer camp is for. At least according to this article. I'm an activist, mommy. Durham anti-racist summer camp educates children on racial identities. Now, listen, one of the things the woke try to do is they use language to try to confuse people. They say, that's not critical race theory. This is critical race theory over here. And anti-racism isn't the same thing as critical race theory. And equity isn't the same as any of those. We have an equity committee. We don't teach critical race theory. We teach equity. Here's what you need to know. It's all the same thing. It is all from the same family. Yes, they may have different technical dictionary definitions, but all of these words, critical race theory, woke, equity, anti-racist, all of these different words that are flying around, they all come from the same family, which is a far left progressive ideology that is trying to destabilize our system and send us into a cultural revolution as its only purpose. And I'm not one of those people that's like, Marxism, but in this case, it is actually true. They've been working for decades to get into the schools to teach this information. That's why the K through 12 school system is in shambles. And now, apparently, they are expanding into summer camps. I used to, back in the day when I first started doing like organizational psychology, kids were coming out of school and the number one thing they wanted to be was an influencer. That was it. That was the number one thing when I first started doing this back in like 2012, 2013. The number one thing kids wanted out of school was to become an influencer. Today, a little less than 10 years later, they want to be activists. They all think they're activists. And that is because they are trained from the time that they are toddlers in ideas like this. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Black and brown children growing up in North Carolina experience all different forms of racism from other students and institutions, according to the executive director of a new summer camp in Durham. Well, of course, isn't it convenient that you are running a summer camp specifically to deal with the problems that you say they have? So you're making money off of these problems? I mean, that seems a little bit convenient for me. Rhonda is director of the summer camp to help children understand their racial identities as it relates to race. It's very important that children learn to develop healthy racial identities at a very early age, she says, noting that her first experience with racism was when she was 5. Well, I'm going to bet that at 5 years old, Rhonda did not understand what was happening. Did not understand. If it happened, and I think we need to question if, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I will leave the door open either way. But if it happened at 5 years old, she probably wouldn't have understood it anyway because her brain is not developed to a state to understand what happens. And so we can only assume that she remembers it back in retrospect. And when we're remembering back to memories, particularly when we are that young, usually they tend to be grossly inaccurate memories of what happened. Black and brown children already have stories of victimization at the hands of white youth. And so here in our camp, we create a space for that type of sharing to occur. WARE, which stands for Working to Extend Anti-Racist Education, serves children in the 1st through 5th grades. The environment is designed to affirm each student's identity and dignity according to the camp organizers. I do wonder how the white children, particularly the white male children, fare in this type of environment. But let's just step back and think about the ages here, because I think when you're talking about grades, that's a little bit of it's a way to kind of mask how young these children are. 1st grade students are 6 years old. 5th grade students are 10 years old. They're running an anti-racist summer camp for ages 6 through 10 to teach them anti-racist things in this woke ideology to get them before their brain has developed let me put it this way. They're trying to get them at the stage where their brain is most pliable to these ideas. And if they get them at this early stage, those ideas are going to be pretty well cemented in there. No matter what happens after it, it's going to be really, really difficult to change it. And listen, man, this is not the only time I've heard about a summer camp like this. We did a live stream on this channel a couple months back, It was one of my happy hour Friday live streams, which we do on Fridays at 3 p.m. We watch an anti-racist training, we talk about it. And in one we did, I want to say a couple months back, we were actually looking at a training that was used in school districts in New Hampshire, but they were also talking about an anti-racist summer camp in New Hampshire. So these things are up and running. They are all over the place. Educators and counselors at the camp cover topics like systemic racism, social justice movements, and racial barriers behind a name for children that are 6 to 10 years old. The camp broke down heavy topics in a way children can understand. How exactly are you breaking down systemic racism in a way that children can understand when most adults don't even understand what that phrase means? What is so beautiful and important was that even though some of the kids grappled with their own identities, I'm gonna stop you right there. Children who are ages 6 through 10 have not yet developed their identities. They ain't grappling with nothing. They are not grappling with who they are as people. They haven't developed who they are as people yet. They're too young. This is child abuse. Right here. What is going on in these camps? I'm sorry. Let's just call it what it is for a second. This is child abuse. When you are teaching children to view the world through the lens of race from the time they are 6 years old, you are engaging in child abuse. You are creating racism. You are creating racism where none existed before. It's not that children can't see that kids look different from themselves. Of course they can. They just don't care. They do not see race in the same way that the adults running this summer camp do. And when the adults in this summer camp are forcing these little anti-racist ideas onto 6 through 10-year-olds, they are engaging in child abuse, plain and simple. What was so beautiful and important was that even though some of the kids were grappling with their own identities, at least by the end of the week, they're able to identify some wrongs that exist either against them or their friends, and also some ways they can change it. Stephanie Baker says her daughter had a great time at the camp. She likes to claim, "Now I'm an activist, Mommy." I'm sure that makes Mommy very happy. Baker said her daughter had a racist encounter when she was 4 years old. Because of that, she has encouraged other parents to find ways to open up about conversations about race with their children. I know that it doesn't do me any use to not have conversations with her about it, because if I'm not talking to her about it, she's just going to draw her own conclusions. Well, God forbid she draw her own conclusions. Stark said that she wanted to encourage students to have a better understanding of race and their own identities so they can advocate for themselves in school. With there being so much pushback of this critical race theory of race and racism in schools, what better time than now to keep pushing forward on educating kids about their rights and responsibilities? Let's just take a look at maybe. Oh, we can even see in the camp photo they have a Black Lives Matter thing. Let's even just click on their. Okay, so we're just gonna go through some of their photos right here, and let's just take a look at some of the things that we can find. Oh, look at this. Critical discourse analysis. Critical equals power. Discourse equals any method of communication. So, you know, all the times that we talked about how critical race theory is about power, it's not about race, it's about power. Look, they're saying it right there in a summer camp for children 6 through 10. Let's take a look at some of these sticky notes. How can we approach current curriculum with this lens? What do you think this lens is? Racial equity. Racial equity lens. Looking intentionally at where injustice lies. Racial equity lens. Trying to actively promote supports so that they all have something, opportunities. Let's keep going. We've got Black Lives Matter shirts all over the places. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Let's see. Systems. They're teaching them about systems using different oh wow, okay. So basically they're probably using this to teach about like systemic racism by using things that kids understand. That's exactly what they're doing there. So I'm sure we could keep going on this all day, but listen, man. Don't be surprised if you see this stuff popping up. Just don't be surprised is all I'm saying. They're going younger and younger and younger, and the younger they go, the more problems we're going to have. Folks, if you enjoyed this video, I post content similar to this almost every single day on my channel. I've been a little sparse for the last month because I was working on writing a book. You're going to learn more about the book in the coming months. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it. We'll tell you more when I have more information about it. But now I'm back on my normal posting schedule. YouTube has been basically hiding my content from you for a little bit for a lot of reasons we're not going to go into here. But if you enjoy what I'm doing, make sure you're subscribed. If you're subscribed, make sure you have those notifications turned on. Leave a comment too, because that's going to make it more likely that my content shows up. And that's all I got for right now. I'll see you soon.